All right,
Well,
baby,
finally
let's roll.
we're getting to talk here. It's been a long time coming, but glad to be able to sit down and actually ask you a few questions. We haven't talked in a while officially, so we'll knock these out. You have 4 albums with Benedictum, which in this day and age is quite a feat considering the state of the music industry. What was your motivation to deliver a solo effort at this time?
You know, first of all, it's great to talk to you too, because I've missed you and you've been a believer since the beginning. But to answer the question, it really wasn't my idea, although always in the back of my mind, I was thinking there's other stuff I'd like to do, especially with Pete, because Pete Wells and I always had stuff that we would play around with at rehearsal, and then everyone else would roll their eyes like, are you serious? And we would like, oh well, save it for the solo project as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in LA when Serafino and Mario from Frontiers, they were out there taking care of some business, and I wanted to meet the people who, ran the label that I'm on, actually see them and talk to them. So I went out to LA while they were there. And it was during our little meeting that they brought up the idea of doing a solo album. And I was really blown away. I was extremely flattered. And at first I was like, hell yeah. And then, it kind of sinks in, well, what does that mean? So the original proposition was that they were going to provide the music and I was going to sing it. And then I thought about that, and that didn't really work for me because I am too controlling for that. And you never know what you're going to get. I mean, I'm sure they have really great stuff, but I wanted to have a little more artistic control. And so we kind of went back and forth with it. So it was a process. And then we agreed on a particular um, modus operandi, if you will, to get it done. And that was that I would have to submit even just like a rough scratch track of what I was going to do, because what they were requiring was something that was not Benedictum. They wanted to show the other side of my voice, which I've always wanted to do that as well, but I wanted to kind of do it a little more. I wanted to have some control over that, at least at some level.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never had to submit songs before. I've always just been able to go, okay, here it is. I've had quite a bit of artistic freedom in the past, so that was a little bit rough for me. But at the end of the day, it worked out really well because I had a chance to submit some stuff that Pete and I had worked on for a while and just had in the, just the thought stages and stuff. And then there were some artists, some writers that they had at Frontiers that had some really cool material. And then at the end of the day, it turned out to be a conglomeration of quite a few different writers, including Pete Wells and myself, and some other bands. And Nigel Bailey was quite a driving force in that as well. So it turned out to be really cool, but it was definitely a longer process to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it did take quite a. I mean, from the beginning, I remember you talking about putting it together, and then, of course, there was a lot of issues with recording and re-recording and producing and stuff like that. I know you had Michael Sweet do a couple songs, which is a good thing to have in your dossier there.
Honey, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. But we have to go there because that's the process. There was a whole life process. This album took on a life of its own because there was the original version of it, which was turned in and mastered and everything. And you know how you have a gut feeling about something and it just wasn't quite right. But there's only so much money. And it's not like I, have endless resources and stuff, or at least at that time I didn't. Not that I do now, but I'm counting on the universe to come through. But at the time, I had the budget that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And with having to, okay, one of the stipulations was I couldn't use any of the members of Benedictum. So I had to fight for fight for your right. I had to fight for the right to have Pete involved. And actually at that time, Rickard Sternquist, who was our new drummer, the Benedictum album Obey hadn't been released at that time. So when we were getting started with it. So we were doing this kind of simultaneously, or trying to do so. And I'm like, so what difference does it make if he's on it? So it was really, we had to do a lot of wrangling to make it work so that both parties felt comfortable. I think Frontier's fear was that I was going to deliver revamped Benedictum, and they wanted something completely different. And so I had to put them at ease with that, but also with the budget that I had, it's not like I could hire all these session musicians to make it so. So we came to an agreement, and the first round of it, so to speak, came into being, and it was cool, but I still felt that there could be something a little bit, it didn't completely represent what I wanted to represent in
Right.
full. And when it's a solo thing, it's got your name on it. No one's going to say, "Oh, so and so did a bad job," or they're going to go and they're going to look at me, right? Because it's my
Right.
name on it. So it was just a series of fortunate events that allowed me to work with Michael Sweet, and that allowed me to go and put a whole new face to the vibe of the album, and it gave it kind of new life, and I felt a lot better about it. And Ryan Green got involved. John Herrera, who produced the original version of it, really brought out the other side of my voice, which I cannot thank him enough for that, because
Hmm.
that's like the basis of the whole thing. But there were just some other things that came into play. So after it went through all these different evolutions, then I had to turn in a second master. And then, of course, it's like, well, we need it within so many days. And that's when all these people came to the forefront to help me out, like Jimmy Durkin and Mick Tucker. And I mean, there was just a list of people that helped out. I mean, even, I mean, Leather Leone, I had already planned on having her on the album. So that was already kind of in the can, but we kind of revamped that and everything. There was just so many people that were so willing to just be a part of this. It was great. And a shout out to Kenny Lewis as well for,
Right.
doing some of the extra mixing, and everybody really, it was like a labor of love, but a very, very hard labor.
Right. Right. Well, obviously, you weren't going to settle for second best in this, and it's a great album. Fantastic
Thank you.
production, fantastic songs, very well written. Would you consider yourself to be a perfectionist when it comes to your art?
No,
No. Okay.
I'm not sure what that means. I just
Okay.
know what it means to me, because I have a certain thing. There's things that I have said that to me sounds right. And maybe not everybody else felt that way.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I have to feel comfortable with it, because I have to answer to myself. If
Right.
someone else, because you're always going to have people that are going to talk smack no matter what,
Hmm.
that's just part of the game. But if I know that I liked it or I felt good about it, then I'm good to go. If I feel like I have a lot of reservations about something, then I have a hard time defending any haters or anything like that, because I too feel that, it should have been better. So I don't know if that is exactly perfectionism, but I have my own personal inner standard that it has to have the right energy for me, if that makes any sense.
I think that's the perfect answer because we all know that there really is no such thing as perfect when it comes to anything we do because we're all flawed human beings and so all we can do is the best we can and we have to set that standard. So yeah, that's perfect.
Good Lord, I'm the flawed poster child. Look up flawed and you see me and like, hey,
Well,
everything
if
me.
we use what you delivered as a measure, then we should all be pretty good, you
Oh,
know.
right on. Oh, there you go.
Um, Now you mentioned the original producer on this, how he brought out that other voice that you have, and everybody that knows Benedictum knows that is a heavy metal voice that you have. It's a heavy metal band, heavy metal sound. This album is very different. While it does have some of those attributes, it's also got a very lighter side. There's a lot of more joy, happy, not sappy stuff, but just It's very melodic. It's very up tempo, upbeat, and it's got feel goodism all throughout it. I think. Um, Going into this, when it finally was said and done that this was actually going to be a solo album, that you were going to do this, and it wasn't just the running joke any longer, and you started to really take it seriously about doing this, did you feel at that time that you had something to prove, something more to accomplish that you hadn't been able to do with Benedictum?
Wow. Okay, that was a beautiful question. And you said a couple of things that just almost like got me tearing up because you said that album had joy in it. And so I have achieved my mark because
Well,
that's what
good.
I wanted. I wanted it to represent the joy of music in a couple of different ways. But to answer your question, I didn't feel that I had anything to prove to anyone else, but I did feel that I personally wanted to be able to stretch myself and see what else I could do because there's a difference. It's not like, well, I'm going to show you. I just needed to know for myself, for my own inner peace that, I know that I don't sing in the shower, so to speak. Well, that's not true. I kind of do. But, when I'm singing in the car, I sing in the car a lot. And, people, if you've ever been at a stoplight with me, you'll know I sing in the car a lot. And I like headbang in the car and I cry and sing in the car. I love driving. So that's like where I feel like
Cool.
that's my sweet spot. And I can really it's just a different mindset. So I know that there's another voice there. And everybody that's worked with me as far as production and stuff, like Jeff Pilson and all of that, have always, and Ryan Green, and have always known that there's that other part there. And there's been a lot of fans that have sent me messages saying, but we really would love to hear more of stuff like that, showing just more of the melodic side. So I wanted to see for myself if I could do that
Hmm.
because I never really pushed myself to do so.
Right. Yeah, I in thinking about the album, like with the Benedictums in relation to that, to the Benedictum albums, when you did the song Dark Heart, that very intro, very pretty sound. I was just like, I felt so cheated when it just didn't continue with that, and it just got super heavy all of a sudden. I'm like, what?
Wait, do
So,
you know how many people still don't think that that was me? And they're like, well, so who was the guest vocalist on that?
uh,
And I'm like, wow, that was me. And I think like off of the Dominion album, I think Loud Silence,
mhm.
that was
Yeah,
that was like the little oddball song. To me, that was like the portent of things to come. I
yeah,
really dug that song, and a shout out to Chris Morgan for that because he was a co-writer of that one. When I heard some of the stuff, the music for it, I knew automatically what I wanted to do. And I remember going to Ryan Green and going, "I want this song on the album," and he's like, "This doesn't even fit." I'm like, "But we got to make it fit because to me, it represented kind of I don't want. It's not a crossover thing. It was just you can still have power, but it doesn't have to always be all the time. I can sing, you know what I mean?
right,
So
right.
it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but yeah, I wanted that song was like the benchmark for me. Although a lot of people don't know that.
Well, they do now.
Now you do. Oh no, now a few other people know too.
A
I'm
few other
scared.
people, yeah, that's cool. Throw this in really quick. You opted to not use your name for this album, Veronica Freeman, but went with the V instead. And I know that just looking at some of the comments on Facebook and whatnot, and when the album came out, people had a little bit of difficulty finding it because they're searching Amazon for Veronica Freeman and not the V. I actually myself, let somebody know, hey, look, it's on there for pre-order. You just got to go to this place. What was the decision in opting to go with the V, the nickname, rather than the actual name?
Business.
Business.
Shortest answer you'll ever get from me. Don't get me started.
Okay. So was it your idea or was it not your idea? You don't want to say.
Okay, here's what I can say.
Trying to make it that
Because
short
so
answer
many
longer.
people, Veronica, for some reason, is a difficult name for people to remember. I get called Vanessa, Virginia, Victoria. There are still current write-ups. Victoria Freeman and Leather Leone have done, a duet together, and it cracks me up. And I think they even got it completely mixed up. Victoria Leone and Leather Freeman, or something like that. It was really funny. It was a great write-up, but it was like totally mixed. But at the end of the day, my nickname has been the V for quite a long time.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
But my, I wanted to make sure that it's the V is still me and Veronica Freeman is still me. So just to make sure, in case something goes awry down the road, I want to make sure that that's still that is my moniker. I
Okay,
own that. That's not
cool.
somebody else's. So as far as my understanding is, so but I thought the V makes a great logo,
There you go.
great branding. So
That was the answer right there
mm,
because it makes a great logo. It's easier to put on a shirt than Veronica Freeman.
right, it's too long.
Yeah, it just that costs extra money to put all those letters on there. So that's
Every
very
letter
cool.
counts, honey. You're
That's
broke.
right. Right. Now, while being in the spotlight as an artist often has its perks. I mean, you get to do what you love. Up on stage, you're singing. And I know like you said, you even sing in the car.
That's right.
So, as a singer, I mean, you've got that being up on a stage in front of people and all that. And you'd mentioned, there's haters in everything, be it production and writing and whatnot. And a lot of them can be unusually cruel at times. I mean, people say some really screwed up crap, about supposedly the artists that they love or the music that they love. And I just think the world isn't big enough to have that hate personally, and so I try to do everything that I can to
Mhm.
eradicate that. And I'm sure you're aware of what's said about you.
Oh my God.
Um,
I'm more than willing to go there. Look,
and it's sensitive subject matter, but I'd really like to get your personal opinion and insight into some of the controversies that surrounded you. Obviously, you know, and not being recorded. We've had other conversations about
mhm,
different artists and all that. Ranging from Madonna to the Butcher Babies to
mhm.
whoever. Your image, your look. Um, you know, you're not afraid to go to places that other artists maybe aren't, as far as showing a little flesh, a little cleavage. I mean, whatever it might be. Someone try and steer clear of that using their femininity to sell the music, and others just simply embrace it, and then others really embellish it. In your opinion, what is too much, too far? How does it work for you personally?
Okay. The first part, what's too much, too far? I can't define that for anybody else. It's not my place to judge. How would I know? Because each artist has their own thing, especially female artists. And I don't like to make the distinction, but I would say artists in
Right.
general. You know what? Now that I think about it, artists in general, there's a certain level of okay, shock value or taste value or the demographic that you're trying to appeal to. So, okay. But at the end of the day, when I first started out, it was like, okay, V, and I was on a different label. Really doesn't matter. The bottom line was, okay, I was more of a rarity. And the fact that my voice, when I sing metal, because I've discovered that I have my metal voice and now discovered that I have my other voice, which I always knew I kind of had, but never really developed because I started out with the metal voice. It's extremely masculine.
Hmm.
So, and I'm not like a skinny girl, and I'm not, I'm not a Barbie doll. I'm not blonde, blue eyed, and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't have that going for me. I got big boobs, but who cares? But at the end of the day, I mean, so I use the can of peas thing. My thing has always been if you have a can of peas and it's really good quality product, right? They're really good peas. They're like organically grown and they taste really good, and you put like the plain label on it and you put the fancy label on it. What are you going to reach for at the store? You're going to probably go for the label that like catches your eye. But as long as, and this is in V world, this is in my head with my particular set of values, as long as the quality of the product is the same or better, I'm good with that. What
Hmm.
bothers me at times, and I'm not laying any blame because I understand it, is when you have an artist, male, female, in between, whatever, that has something that, they know, come on, it's really not that great, but I'm going to slap some other stuff on it to make it sell. And then sometimes that really works and sometimes it doesn't. But at the end of the day, you can't see an MP3 and you can't see a CD. You can look at a video or whatever and draw whatever judgment from that. But when I'm driving in my car and I'm on the road and I'm hearing something, it's got to sound good and it's got to move me. And I
Right.
hope that for the people that that gravitate towards my music, that that is satisfying for them. And if the label on the can is good, that's fine too. But that doesn't
Mhm.
define me. I'd love to do a photo shoot in just, a baseball cap and a t-shirt. That's cool. I mean, I have I have large breasts. Oh well. So that's all good and all, but they don't really change my voice or anything or who I am in that aspect. So, and then with the metal thing, with especially with Benedictum, when the first album came out, no one wanted to believe that it was the girl on the cover that was singing. No one wanted to believe it was a girl singing at all. Only a few people got it. So many people were like, "Whoa!" It got a lot of attention. It was a good album. Uncreation is a great album. I'm very proud of that, and all of that. But
I love it.
there was thank you, but there was, especially in the States, a backlash of, well, is that, that's probably, I thought that was a guy singing, or and then it went to, oh, that probably is really a guy. It had a sex change or something. And then, then all the stuff on Blabbermouth and all that kind of stuff, it just got crazy. And at first it used to hurt my feelings. And it really kind of came out more, I think, a little bit later on. And being a bigger girl than I've always had, as many women can relate to, I've always had problems with my weight. The heavier I get, the more people will like, oh, well, that's a guy. My weight goes up and down. And that should prove right there I'm a woman.
Right. Right.
and it's just, it used to hurt. It still hurts, but at the end of the day, it's like there's so many people that get a hold of me or that enjoy the music and that get it. It's like if you look at the ratio of people that are going, "Wow, this is really cool," to, "Oh, that's a guy," and blah blah blah. And if you really trace it back to where it's coming from, a lot of times it's from either another band with a female singer or people that just are, in the basement and got nothing else to do, or people that just don't know, or at times, I used to joke with myself and go, damn, I look at myself in that one particular video and I'd be like, I don't know, because you just, I'm not a skinny girl, and so I am who I am. I was born a woman. I am a woman. All that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's hurtful, but at the end of the day, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I am who I am, so it's all good.
Well, you've dropped some weight recently because you looked pretty skinny last time I saw you. Just saying.
Thanks.
Just saying.
Yeah, I think it's because I've been really stressed out. But
That'll do it.
but
I
after
don't.
the back
That's
surgery and
that.
stuff, I mean, for those who
Yeah.
don't know, because I had surgery on my back, and I knew I needed to lose some weight after that too, but you couldn't, I didn't have a whole lot of range of motion. It wasn't like I was all crippled up or anything, but it took a while for me to be able to get back to the gym. So to be able to do that was great. And then just eating a little bit differently and all of that, but stress will definitely do it to you. So, you know.
Well, I'm going to throw this into, and this is definitely in your defense of what you've just said. I was thinking about when it comes to the difference between male and female and how they sell the music and stuff like that. And it just pops in my head. It's like, man, you could have a great conversation with Michael Sweet from Striper about this, and the fact that, I mean, for years, I mean, back in like all the '80s, man, the guys looked very feminine. They were all
Hmm.
wearing makeup, and a lot of people always thought that he was a girl, not just because of the way he looked, but the way he sounded. I mean, he's got a
Yep.
very high voice, and so, he's gotten crap for that too. Another example, I'm thinking about like Blackie Lawless. Talk about using stuff or gimmicks or whatever, to to sell the music. I mean, people don't give they didn't give him crap unless they were from like a religious order or something like that for wearing a cod piece and shooting fireworks at his crotch, or eating raw meat and throwing it in the audience or blood and stuff like that. And these are all things that was praised, but it was had nothing to do with the music.
Right. That's
And
what I
so
mean.
when
So what's the big deal?
right, right.
To
So
me, it's at this point, especially now in 2015, soon to be 2016. I mean, look at Rammstein, one of my favorite bands. I mean, their show is absolutely incredible, and it is
right,
dark and sexual and all of these things, but their music kicks ass.
right, right.
So you
Yeah.
look at that, and then you look at what Kiss was back in the day. Let's not, everybody has their opinion about that, but
Hmm.
they were, as they were, shock rockers, if you want to call it, whatever. They were innovative at the time and had their particular imagery, but their music was fun. Whether it was intricate or this or that doesn't matter. It was fun, and people related to it and enjoyed it. So it depends on if you can deliver. You got to still deliver the goods to some point. So it I do not judge other people for that. There's other people that take it to an extreme that I probably wouldn't, but maybe if I had their figure, I would. I don't know.
Hmm.
I
Right,
mean, I don't take it that seriously. I just want to get out there and do music and have a good time. And hopefully, people will relate to some of the things I have to say. Uh, and and it's really kind of simple. It's not that complicated, to be
right, right.
honest.
Totally, totally, totally get it. Now, I mean, speaking about your voice, and obviously people don't believe that that's you singing the lighter stuff. People have problems believing that a girl can sing the heavier stuff. When it comes to the music, the core of it, and what we're actually hearing, you are very known for having the perfect voice for metal of this caliber. And however, there are those who have difficulty, like we just said, believing that a woman can outdo a good portion of the men in metal when it comes to ability. Have you ever regretted the voice that you have, or the fact that you don't really sing, for lack of a better word, pretty? Although with this new album, you're really bringing it out there. So there is some pretty stuff on there. So
Thank you.
you know,
I have not regretted my voice for one single second once I found it. And I have to credit Craig Goldie for helping me find it in the first place. I never, ever started out to be a singer. I thought I was going to be a dancer. I loved modern dance and jazz dance and all that stuff growing up, um, or an artist of some sort because my both of my parents were artists and all that kind of stuff. So I just never thought I could sing. And it just so happened that the first voice that really resonated with me was Ronnie James Dio. And so I'm one of those kind of people that I hear something and I'm going, okay, and not, I guess, emulate it somewhat or pull it into my being. And I picked a good person.
right,
So
right, totally,
that sort of thing, and that's how it kind of grew from there. But I don't regret what I do because it's unique, and that's one of the things that I remember Craig telling me: don't ever be afraid to be unique. And
hmm,
although I haven't talked to him for a while, I still hang on to those words because there was a time when I was afraid to be who I was. But that's the kind of voice I can do this, and you may not particularly think it's, well, especially the people in my inner circle. I wasn't so much worried about people outside, so to speak. It's kind of hard to explain. You're on a label and they present it and it's a metal album, and you're going to have people that are going to like it or not like it, and then you're going to have people that feel a certain way about it or whatever. But like I said before, as long as I felt good about it, cool. But I got more flack from people like in the office because it's not like I can do music full time and I make money at it and that's how I pay my bills or anything. I work my ass off. I have,
hmm,
a business selling motorcycle accessories. I got Street Fighters Inc. and Alien helmets, wild hair accessories. I work part time at an auction. I got to pay bills and all that stuff. So I'm very, very busy and trying to do as many things as I can. And it's that water cooler talk like, oh, you're a singer? Yeah, I'm a singer. What do you sing? Well, I sing, heavy metal. Oh, it's that. And it's like,
Right.
well, and so many times, oh, well, you really should sing this. Oh, I could tell you have a really good voice, but wouldn't you rather sing that? That's the stuff I've been dealing with for over what, like 10 years, since before Benedictine was even born, when we were just like working on it and stuff. I remember that, you should really sing the blues. Oh, okay. Oh, so you don't sing like, kind of torchy type songs? No, I sing metal. And it was more of that stuff that's close to you that affects you more, because I always know people are going to have opinions about stuff anyway. But the ones that are closest to you, you want them to like you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would invite like the people at the office to, if I had a local show or something, and you'd sit, I could see them in the audience going, wow, she doesn't wear that at the office. And that's what, the thigh high boots and the, cleavage hanging out, whatever.
Hmm.
It almost became embarrassing to where I was like, wow, this is a different persona. That's my stage persona. But I have to like kind of go to the office and wear my, I go to work like other people.
Right. Right. No, I totally hear you. I kind of have an opposite reaction. Everybody expects me to do metal,
Hmm.
and so when I try and sing something that's a little bit different, I'll do some classical vocal stuff, or even some pop type stuff, and people are like, why are you doing that? Because you're a metal vocalist. It's like they always want to hand me those songs. You're like, well, your voice, you've got the voice for this, we'll let you
Huh.
do this, and then
Right.
like, well, I kind of wanted to sing this, and they're like, well, yeah, but you're better over at this. And so I kind of get shunned that way. But I get the same thing with going to work, and you know
Yep.
I pulling my hair back and looking
Right.
nice. And
Oh, hell yeah.
then when they see me and they come to a show and they're like, "Oh my god, dude, you're like, you look
Yeah.
evil up there," hair string in your face, and
And trust me, it does kind of change their perspective.
yeah,
There's some people. I do have to tell you this one story, which is like,
sure,
because it's personal to me. Because I was never, and I've always wanted to say this. Okay, so I was never like the popular girl in school or anything like that.
hmm,
So, and it was, I tried out for the cheerleader thing. I didn't make it. I just wasn't that one. And so that's okay. And I wanted to be, everybody wants to be popular, everybody wants to be liked and all that kind of stuff. And it was just really weird that this just happened recently, and it just really hit me so much so that I had to go in the ladies' room and just catch my breath for a minute, because all of a sudden, like, I was that girl. I work at this auction, and I go, it's, I love it there because it's really exciting, because I work on the auction block. I'm a block clerk, so it's like really fast paced. It's almost like getting ready for a show.
hmm,
So in any case, I also do like office work there and stuff, and it's a couple days a week, whatever. And there's this particular girl there who is just, I mean, she's really beautiful, and she reminded me of, like, the mean girls from high school. And I don't know if you can relate to that,
right,
but you know what I mean. I know there's somebody out there that can. And she was like, "Wow, I saw your video." She pulled me aside. "Oh my God, I so want to be your friend." It was so funny because she would have been someone who, she was much younger than me. I mean, she's totally gorgeous, and just would have been one of those girls that would have pushed me into the locker or something back in the day.
right,
So I kind of felt this like little inner thing, like, oh, I finally made it. I know that sounds so weird, but there was a part of me that felt like, oh, I finally got accepted by like the in crowd, because everybody liked her. She's just like this uh, gorgeous, perfect being, and she's like, wow, I would love to be like you. And I thought, wow. Because I want to be a rock star too. And I'm like, just thinking, girl, it was just the most bizarre thing, but she had no idea what those words meant to me. So
right,
that was like, that just kind of made me feel good. So
yeah.
I had to, I
No,
shed a little tear on that one.
that's awesome. That's awesome. No, I can totally relate. I
You know
was
what I mean?
bullied. I was bullied all my school
Mm,
days, junior high, high school.
yep.
I quit school because of it. I
Oh,
actually
wow.
dropped out of high school because I couldn't walk on the campus without getting, picked on by somebody. And I mean, you know, either beat up or spit on, or I mean, I've got
Oh,
had it all,
God.
you know. And yeah, and it took a long time to build my confidence and become the person I am. And now I don't give a crap about being popular. I actually am in some circles. I kind of spearhead a lot of things, and people look to me for stuff. But it's that confidence took a long time to
Right.
build up, and so yeah, I do relate to that for sure. Um, let's talk about your lyric writing. I'm a lyricist too, so I'm always interested in what people have to say. Um, where they derive the meanings for their songs. What is it that fuels their passion and pen to paper. From personal perspective, you know lyrics often don't tend not to hold the same meaning for others. I mean, it's something personal for you, but depending on how you write it, some people it's very transparent. People can pick out exactly what you're talking about. But in your material, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know if I'm necessarily on the same page, and I kind of derive my own ideas from it.
Right.
How do you pick your topics, and what are you trying to convey to your listeners, or are you at all?
Yes and no. The
Well,
reason why I
that's
say
that
that, like, it's
solves
it's
it.
a typical Veronica answer, right? But because that's just how it is. There are some songs, some things I choose to write about, and it's like there will be a particular topic that I'll want to write about. The song "Retrograde." I knew I wanted to write about that feeling of really wanting to push forward, but always feeling like you're going backwards. Loud silence, again, that feeling of sometimes being in a relationship that maybe you're not the happiest with, and what are you sacrificing to be in it, and are you losing yourself in it? So many songs, number 4, getting real with yourself. um, there's so many songs that I knew that I wanted to write about a particular thing, and there's other songs that, in particular the song Benedictum, where I had a real writer's block, and I just wasn't. I really loved the groove, but I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. So I was driving around, which I often do, and all of a sudden I just started just mouthing words, and they kind of sounded like Latin stuff. And then I went home and I got like a Latin to English dictionary. And so I ended up doing most of that song like in a mixture of Latin and then English. So that's how that came about. And there's other songs like on the V record that were actually already written, like the stuff that Michael Sweet did. He was like, Veronica, you're going to come out here. I'm going to write these songs. I'm going to do this. And, you're not going to know what you're going to be doing ahead of time. And I was like, what? But when I went there, they resonated with me so much, just about, heartache and disappointment and, you know, love and just certain things and being jaded and stuff like that. It was perfect. And then there's times when it's just, okay, there's no particular inspiration. I mean, there's always an inspiration, but it's just, I don't have an agenda, and I let the music speak to me. And then there's some times, like I said before, where I have something I want to write about, like with Wicca and stuff like that. So it's both.
Right. Well, cool. That works. No, it's always interesting to get perspectives. Some people don't want to talk about where they're coming from, and it's like, hey, it's whatever you can get out of it doesn't mean what it means to me. And um, actually, we're having this discussion in one of the classes I'm taking recently about how, like, video images, like, directors would get an idea of a video, and it would have absolutely nothing to do with what
Thank
the
you.
song's about.
Ooh, oh yeah, I don't want to get. Yeah, okay, that's a different thing. With lyrics though, because I do try to write, no matter what it is, even if it's something that someone else wrote. I will put my interpretation on it, like the song Below Zero, which really resonated with me because I had recently, at that time, lost my mom. And I changed some of the lyrics and stuff like that. So my greatest hope is, my highest hope is that there's a few people that will really get it and will make a difference for them. And some of the things that mean the most to me as an artist and a person is when someone writes to me and tells me that, I was going through, I had gotten in one person had gotten in a motorcycle accident, and they were told that they would never be able to walk again, let alone run again. And she used to run marathons. And your album helped me get through my physical rehab, and now I'm running in marathons again. I had another person, I'm emotional about this one, but she had an autistic child, and this child, for some reason, knows all the lyrics to Seasons of Tragedy, and that just
Wow.
blew my mind. And yet another
Yes.
person, I was going through this and that, and I wouldn't have been able to go through this divorce had I not had, the strength from your music. So lyrics do matter when they resonate with someone. The groove matters and everything else, but there are certain times when words will speak to you and move you, and that's a powerful thing. And I I hope to be able to wield that power. I hope to be able to do that, even if it's just for a few. Then I know that I've made a bit of a difference for someone.
Definitely. Definitely.
Oh God, I'm getting all mushy. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, we won't go there, but
Don't go
yeah, no,
there.
I get it. I get it.
Okay.
I got one last question for
Okay,
you.
good, because I have to pee soon.
Right on.
Like
Well,
real soon. Let's go.
don't we all? Okay.
Yeah, well,
Music business. The
uh,
music business is not an easy road, as any musician knows out there, and a lot of times the public don't. The the one girl, hey, I want to be a rock star too. And it's like,
right.
what
Yeah,
does that?
like
She has no idea what that even means, and
yeah.
and as a musician, it's like trying to make it to that. It's a long, hard, rigorous road. I know that you are ridiculously busy. Obviously, you've been talking about working, your Street Fighter's job, the auction job, trying to record. You got the Benedictum band, you've got your solo stuff, producers and then other things. I know you're guest vocaling on this person's album and that person's album. And you're going to hit the stage with Doro in New York, and then you're going to tour with the Rods, for a while and do a few songs with them over in Europe. I mean, you got two movies, uh, projects, right? That you're under.
Yeah.
You're always doing something, flying here, flying there, driving. You say you love to drive,
Yeah, I
and
do.
you do a lot of it. How do you manage all this? How do you juggle so many things? Most of us would just crush under the pressure.
I don't. And I am crushing under the pressure. And that's probably as real of an answer as you're gonna get. My finances are in upheaval. I try to keep things together. I have a home life too, and I love to cook. By the way, I'm pretty good at it.
Ooh, we'll have to keep
Yeah, I
that in
made the
mind.
best pork loin roast the other night. But I mean, it is really difficult, and I feel like I fail on many levels. So if I had it the way I would like to have it, I would be able to put the full force of the energy, which I do have, which I am a very energetic person, and focus that like a laser on one thing. But the reality of it is that the music doesn't pay the bills at this juncture, and I am allowing the universe to change that for me at any moment. But it is what it is right now. And although, a Facebook post or a picture or a YouTube clip and all that does not a bill paid make. So many people I know that are doing the same thing that I'm doing can relate to that. It's more difficult now than ever. So I just keep doing because I have passion for it. I feel very strongly about performing. I love to perform live. The studio is okay, but it's not my stronghold. I mean, I don't enjoy it as much. It's not like I don't like recording music, but I'd rather be out there playing it. And I've been very, very fortunate to have opportunities to go to Europe with the Rods and to be in a movie here or a movie there, even though it's like a little teeny part. It's fun and it keeps me out there. But you know, I have to pay for that a lot of the times. It's not like oh, she's in a movie, she's gonna be, you know, a lot of these artists. because directors and editors and all that stuff are artists as well. They have limited budgets too. So I'm very grateful to be a part of anything that has to do with entertainment that I feel good about, and some things like, oh, well, maybe that didn't come out as well or whatever, or it didn't yield what I was hoping it would yield, but other things do. So, and there's the intangible payback. There's that being able to do that which you love to do. At the end of the day, that means the most. And so I cling to that, as do so many artists. And that's why you have to have, I do have to mention this, the right partner for this. And I don't necessarily mean bandmate. I mean, if you're in a band or you're in the entertainment business and you are either married or partnered up with someone, it does take a special person to understand that, because to another person, what we do and the sacrifices we're willing to make for such little return doesn't make sense. But for those who have it in our blood and it's like, we've got to be out there and we got to do this, it's like, can't live with it. It's a part of who we are. So if you find someone that gets that, you're very fortunate indeed.
Definitely, definitely. V, thank you so much
Good
for
God,
this.
that was kind of powerful, huh?
It was powerful. I'm like a little shooken up right now.
I gotta
I'm
step back from
stuttering
that.
here. I'm like, wow,
Whew.
no words.
See, that's the other V. I'm telling you, I got like 5 personalities. This is scary stuff.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Definitely a pleasure speaking with
I
you.
love you.
Thank you again for this,
Thank
and
you.
looking forward to seeing you out there playing live, hopefully in the not too distant future.
Damn right. I think it won't be that distant, and we'll talk about it. And thank you, and good night.
All right, V.
Okay. Bye, babe.
All right. Bye now.